We are following breaking news. The NYPD is giving an update after a police officer was shot in the leg.
At the side of an NYPD officer shot in the line of duty this morning. The duty we asked him and all NYPD officers to do every single day. He answered a call for help. He is a 7-year veteran officer. He is a husband and a father, and thankfully, he will recover. We want to thank the physicians and staff of Kings County Hospital and our own Dr. Kleinman for the great care provided to our members. Our wounded officer decided to dedicate his life to helping others, just as all of your NYPD officers do. This is the 10th officer shot this year in 9 separate incidents. The shootings of your NYPD officers go back to New Year's Day this year. And here we are again as this year comes to a close. The strength and resilience of the NYPD will never waver. Our members have sworn to help, to face danger, to assist the victims of crime and apprehend dangerous criminals across this city every day. And as we have seen, it is at great risk to themselves. I am deeply grateful for their courage and commitment. They deserve our respect, and we need your support. I would like to turn it over to the Mayor of the City of New York, Eric Adams.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And just a few days ago, you announced the identification of a suspect that was wanted for a shooting that took place in the beginning of this administration. It just really personifies the persistency and consistency that this agency will carry out to find those who are responsible for creating violence in our city. Speaking with Officer O'Donnell, his wife, and his brother, as I visited him a short time ago, it was clear that he is resilient about dealing with the violence in our city. And I cannot thank the responding officers, not only Officer O'Donnell, who received a bullet wound to his foot, but the other officers involved. Their level of discipline, of responding to the initial job, their level of coordination, and their ability to apprehend the suspect that was involved carrying a loaded weapon. Officer O'Donnell was also joined by his partner, who this was her actual first day inside an RMP, carrying out her job. And that is the level of uncertainty every day that our officers face. You don't know what is going to happen during your tour of duty, and we want to thank her as well. And let's be clear, because of Officer O'Donnell and his partners' actions, we have a dangerous person off our street. We have an illegal gun off our street. The removal of close to 7,000 illegal guns, over 4,400 people arrested for carrying those guns, is a real signal of how our police department is continuing to respond and not allow anything to get in the way of their primary responsibility, and that's keeping our city safe. And I want to thank all of our police officers during this time of the year as we conclude 1 year of watching the decrease in shootings, the decrease in homicides, the number of arrests that the chief of detectives and his team has had the ability to close many of these cases and apprehend. It just shows how much this coordinated effort of the New York City Police Department and other law enforcement agencies involved have been clear on the mission, removing guns, removing dangerous people that are carrying guns. Now is an obligation for every part of the criminal justice system to play that same level of aggressive role so that we can ensure dangerous people don't remain on our streets. Officer O'Donnell is going home today with his family. The other officers involved are going home with their families. And the only reason that other New Yorkers are going to feel that safety is because we have those types of officers that are out here placing themselves on the front line to deal with violence in our city. And we will continue to be optimistic under the leadership of this commissioner and her team that we're going to go after those dangerous individuals in this city that believe they can carry out their illegal actions without reprisal, not while we have in a department like the NYPD. So again, I want to thank all the officers involved, in particular, but I also want to thank the leadership team of the New York City Police Department for the continuing action of going after dangerous people in our city. Thank you.
I'd like to turn it over to Chief of Detectives James Essex to give details of the investigation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning. At approximately 8:36 a.m., members of the 7-9 precinct responded to a 911 call for a domestic dispute at 277 Gates Avenue, apartment 3D. The female caller stated that her male friend was damaging the wall and was refusing to leave. At approximately 8:50 a.m., two sectors in the 7-9 precinct arrived at the scene, which consisted of 4 police officers. They were met in front of the location by a male and female. After an investigation, it was determined that the male was going to be placed under arrest for the criminal mischief of the wall. As the officers attempted to place the male in custody, a struggle ensued. A shot was fired, striking our officer in the right foot. The perpetrator fled eastbound on Gates Avenue for 1 block, southbound on Bedford Avenue for 1 block, and then again eastbound on Monroe with the gun in hand. 4 members of the 7-9 precinct were in close pursuit. 2 were in an auto, 2 were on foot. In front of 184 Monroe Street, the perpetrator was confronted by 2 officers. Shots were exchanged, and our perpetrator was struck 2 times in the left thigh. A total of 6 shots were fired by the uniformed members of the service, 5 times by one officer, 1 time by another. A total of 3 shots were fired by our perpetrator, and 3 shell casings, 9mm, were recovered. 1 shell casing was recovered in front of 277 Gates Avenue, where our officer was shot in the foot, and 2 shell casings were recovered in front of 184 Monroe Street with the exchange of gunfire. A 9mm handgun was recovered from his person, shown here. We are awaiting trace results for that gun right now, but at this time it is not reported stolen. Our member of the service was taken to Kings County Hospital for a gunshot wound to his right foot. Our perpetrator was taken to Brookdale Hospital and treated for gunshot wounds to his left thigh. He is Raheem Joy, a male 41 years old, of 601 Sackett Street in Brooklyn. He has 17 prior arrests in Georgia, the state of Georgia, dating between 1998 and 2014. Most are for low-level drugs and a DWI, but 2 noteworthy arrests were from 2005 for discharging a firearm and 2007 for criminal possession of a weapon. He also has an outstanding warrant for a weapons possession for Troy, New York. With that, I'll turn it over to the PBA President, Patrick Lynch.
Thank you, Chief. As folks in our neighborhoods are planning for the holiday, going Hanukkah and Christmas shopping, doing those last-minute things, going to work to try to make money to have a peaceful, festive holiday, remember that there's police officers that are still responding to chaos and violence on the streets. While we're pleased here today that this injury is not life-threatening, the chaos they walked into, the shots being fired at them, could have landed any place in these police officers' body, and it could have been more serious, like we've had during holidays in the past. We cannot allow violence towards police officers become normalized. Now we expect, and the citizens should demand, that the rest of the criminal justice system do their job like the New York City Police Department has done ours.
All right, open up for questions. Don Doyle, yes? What was the issue between the suspect and the female victim?
She describes it as her male friend. So they were friends.
Chief, can you just explain, so what, they went there, what's the nature of the criminal mischief?
The 911 call states that he was breaking her walls, damage to her walls. When the officers got to the scene, they met them in front of. 2 officers went upstairs and they observed the wall being damaged, so that he was going to be placed under arrest for criminal mischief.
Did he fire while he was in handcuffs? Was he in handcuffs at some point? Or?
No, he was never in handcuffs. When the officers came downstairs after seeing the damage to the wall, they came down, they were attempting to place him under arrest. He struggled, a shot was fired, striking our officer in the foot, and then our perpetrator took off.
Rocco, Chief, did he try to explain it all to the police officers what had happened upstairs and did objecting to being arrested?
There was a brief conversation between the officers, but the damage, we observed the damage, he committed the damage, we had a complainant who was the female, he was going to be placed under arrest for that.
So when you guys arrived, she took you upstairs and showed her damage?
No, she sits downstairs, and the 2 officers went upstairs to the apartment.
Marla Diamond?
Can you confirm if the officer was shot by the suspect's gun? Was the officer shot by the suspect?
The officer was shot on the scene by the suspect's gun, the 9mm gun that was recovered later on at 184 Monroe. So our suspect, or our perpetrator, fired 3 shots. 1 at the original scene at 277, which struck our officer, and 2 times again at 184 when he was confronted.
We're going to FNTV.
Was the body cameras activated, and there was also security footage on the outside of the building? I know y'all haven't been able to get that. Have y'all examined the body camera footage?
Yes, we examined the body camera footage. We examined a lot of the video we still have up, and it confirms just what I've been saying.
Jessica Formosa.
The officer's name, please, and can you also repeat the suspect's name?
Excuse me?
The officer's name? I know the mayor puts in his last name.
No. I'll repeat the perpetrator's name if you need. Raheen, Rahden, Joy, Joye. He's a male, 41 years old.
Can we identify the officer?
Not at this time. We'll release that name later on.
Rocco Patterson-Dole. Chief, what are they arguing about upstairs that leads them to breaking the walls? And B, based on the body cam footage, how long is the interaction before they move to arrest them?
We're still talking to her. This is about 2 hours old. We get the dispute that she calls 911 and says he's breaking walls. He's refusing to leave the apartment. We haven't gotten that far along to see what actually it was. As far as the footage, we get there at 8:50 approximately. We go upstairs, come down. Approximately 10 minutes later, I think 9:04 is the actual shots fired, put over.
All right, we'll take one more question. Miles.
Chief, you said the female officer, the partner, was in the first day in the radio patrol car. How long did she have on, and where was she at the time of the shooting?
Yeah, she has about a year on. She was the partner with the officer at scene.
All right, we'll finish up with Miles. Last question.
When he fired all 3 times, did he fire, did he take a stance and fire, or did he have a gun in his pocket? What's the deal with
When they went to cuff him, a shot rings out. They're grabbing him by the arms, trying to place his gun. He has his hand in his pocket, shot fires out. As he's running down the street as we're pursuing him, he has the gun in his right hand. And the officers confront him, and shots are exchanged.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you.